Hello, everyone. It's always just a little bit breathless before we start this. We are using new technology and, we're sorting things out. Of course, I'm standing around watching Erin sort it out, and she's communicating with Alex in Cleveland. So between the two of them, they've got things all worked out. But anyway, I appreciate you joining me today. Let's see, we're talking about So Confident Always. It is a huge program and effort for us every year. And of course, we're gearing up for 2024. For those of you who are this year's So Confident members, you must join us on December 1st for our big party that we're having, and we have a special project for you that I'll be talking about then. But we always have some fun, and we're going to be wearing something kind of interesting that day. So put that on your calendar for December 1st. In the meantime, I've seen some wonderful November garments, which is a variation of the swing tee. So here it is. We've taken the swing tee, we've used the same neckline, we've lengthened the sleeve, added a cuff in ribbing. The binding at the neck is in ribbing also that completely matches the fabric. But the thing that we've done is we've unswung it just a little bit, if that's a word, and narrowed it up, straightened it some, and then added these double layer scallops. Left the edges raw, let them do whatever they're going to do, which is ravel and curl, and it makes it really interesting. But you can see, I hope, that the scallops are not an even scallop. They're a very asymmetric scallop. And in order to accomplish that, we give you a template with that shape that works for every size. That's part of a prep letter that we give you. So we'll hope that you'll take this monthly class. And those of you who are members of So Confident 2023, Series 12, you have it. And I hope that you have watched the video and are gearing up to get yours made, or you're gearing up to take photographs of it so that we can see it on the private Facebook page. And maybe we'll post it on Instagram and other venues as well. So that is that's the November project, the Scalloped Swing Tee. I think it's time to bring Erin on because she has some news about our website and your account, and since she's much more conversant about it than I am, she's on.
All right, and I am just going to talk to you guys, kind of take you through a few things. With our website, kind of a new thing, we want to make sure that everybody is signing in to their account before they place their order. That's the way that you can see your orders in your order history when you log in. So we want to make sure everybody knows that they need to do that before they place their order in order for your tutorials, your digital patterns, for those to show up in your account history. So I wanted to take you through the steps just to make sure you know how to do that. If you're on our website and you see our homepage, and at the top of the homepage, it'll say log in, log out, right at the top at that arrow. So you need to do that first. And then step 2, you're gonna see the Sewing Workshop customer login, and that's where you're gonna enter your username and your password. And that is case sensitive. So if you have a capital letter within those two things, you wanna make sure and you use that. And then step 3, once you have logged in, you'll get to this page with all the lovely boxes, these colorful boxes, and at the bottom, you'll see something called My Account. You see that black arrow at the bottom that says My Account. So you want to click on that. And then once you click on My Account, you'll get to this page, which is your order history page. And so it is going to be an order of when you placed it. So your most recent order will be at the top. And so then you can scroll down to the date that you ordered, and then you should see your downloadables listed. So if you have a pattern, you're going to have, usually 3 or 4 downloads there that you can click on to download your patterns. So that is how you access your account and access your downloadables within your account. Okay.
So that I understand, the only way to really see their history is to go into their account and order through their account. We really want them to do that.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So that's how the system knows that you have placed an order, is if you log into your account.
Okay, very good. Thank you. That was pretty good. All right. I've been digging around in my stash again, and Kathy Davis is going to just die when she sees this, because now that I am looking at this, I think maybe this is her piece, not mine. So Kathy Davis, I am so sorry. But this is a really interesting piece of fabric. This is a double-sided fabric. One side is linen, and it's a cross-dyed linen, kind of coarsely woven. And it is a taupish brown with a light color. And then the back side, or the other side, I shouldn't say back side, you can see on the selvage that there is a grayish blue that's woven into the fabric. Actually, it's a really good looking selvage. But the back side is a smooth fabric, and it's not linen. It's very smooth, and I don't know what it is. But there are small little dimples or thread picks, if you want to call it that are in that blue color. So I think it would be a great fabric to use for something where the back side shows or the other side shows. This is a big piece. This has 3 3/4 yards. And again, I don't know where Kathy or I got it. I don't know if we used to carry it. I think this would make a great topper kind of coat. There's 3 3/4 yards, so you could make a Chicago jacket that's been lengthened. You could make the jacket that we're going to talk about today, the sterling jacket, and use both sides. But I'm selling this piece for $60. And if you are interested, then just email me at linda@sewingworkshop.com, and the first person who emails me will get this piece for $60, shipping included, domestically. So there you go. All right. So at the last Sew Kansas, which was, I don't know, close to a month ago perhaps, our friend and good customer Linda D'Amato from New York arrived wearing this jacket. And I fell in love with it. So I asked her if she would leave it, which she kindly did. And there are many things about it that I like. I love wearing a jacket that is not overwhelming, that just feels part of your ensemble for the day. And to me, that's the sterling jacket. It's not like you have on a coat or something that's going to get in the way or swings around or you sit on it or all of that. It's like another shirt, but it's a second layer, and it makes up in so many interesting fabrics. So this is Linda D'Amato's version, and she used the fabrics that I have behind me, which I'm going to talk about for the basic garment. She did not have quite enough fabric, and so she added some pieced sections on the sleeve in a rib textured knit and the collar. And in my opinion, not having enough fabric was a means to introducing a really interesting series of details to this garment. So we're going to talk about this. The origin of this sterling jacket is the Quincy jacket, believe it or not. So this is the Quincy. Now the Quincy has, this sort of stand-up collar. It has a zipper, but the primary feature of this garment is this inset piece here. The sleeve is a very interesting shape. There's a seam that's very much like a princess seam. It's not quite as curved, but it starts in the shoulder and comes straight down. And then there is what I call a side peplum. So we borrowed this detail from the Quincy jacket and reimagined this as a sterling jacket. So last year in So Confident, we introduced this as a new pattern. And you can see that it has what I'm talking about. It has this seam. It has this inset with the peplum. This seam is not at the edge of the shoulder. This is set inside. So you don't have to really worry about the set of the shoulder too much. Now, of course, if this is hanging off of your shoulder, you want to bring it in, but it can be in a number of places across the shoulder. And everything is the same in terms of the sleeve and this peplum, but we add peplum, side piece, because we've added another peplum. We added a bottom piece that's about 4.5 inches wide. Actually, it varies in width a bit, and it's cut on the bias. As you can see with the motif of this particular fabric, this peplum, you can see that the motif is on a diagonal. And we changed the height of the collar, and of course we deleted the zipper and applied these outside faced pieces. The real detail about this actually is that all the edges are finished with a roll hem on your serger. So that was part of the learning of making this garment. One thing I like about this collar is that it's actually 2 pieces, and it's applied in such a way that you don't see an exposed seam on the inside. It's almost like a French seam or something like that. So this was one of the fabrics that we had last year as kits. We no longer have this color, but we do have a bit of this color left. This wonderful olive color, moss something or other. What do we call this? Moss. And so there's really 2 sides of this, and you can kind of choose which to use. This is considered the right side, I think. This is a jacquard. I call it a matelassé. And then the other side is also pretty. So you have either light shapes or dark shapes, kind of your choice. So we have a little bit of this left. We have none of the cream, and we had another color as well. But we do have some of this left, surprisingly. So Linda has decided to use this fabric, which are these 4 fabrics. Now, you've seen this fabric before because Kathy Davis made a now jacket in another colorway of this fabric. This fabric is quilted, except it's not really, it's in the weave. The weave of the fabric does make the design detail of this fabric. So I think you can see it the most on this, on camera probably. There's no batting in between, but it is 2 layers of fabric. And because of the jacquard weave, it is connected. It has a very hand-loomed aspect to it, even though it's not, it's machine made. But it does look as if it's been hand quilted. There are threads throughout this that are heavier. They look like running stitches. And it forms this kind of abstract, square-ish pattern. So there are sections here that are not as quilted as others. I hope you can see that. Can you see that on the screen? Does it show up at all? You want me to bring it forward?
There is some texture, but why don't you mind bringing it up?
Maybe I should maybe this one would show up.
That's such a beautiful color.
Yeah, this is an amazing color. This is a very blush pink that has a slight lavender cast to it. Does that show up?
It does.
Okay. So the other side looks good too. It is different. So it is reversible, but at least for sure, it looks great on the inside of a garment as well. It is 48 inches wide, so it's a little narrower than some of the standard fabrics that we have. We have it in 4 colors. We have it in the, what do we call this? I call it a blush pink, but it may be something else. Seashell pink, that's a good name for it. And this is a very ecru eggshell kind of color. There's quite a bit of depth of color to this, more than just an off-white. And then we have this, which I call kind of copper. Let's see what we call it. Brick. And then midnight navy. So 4 colors of those. So in the process of making it, Linda D'Amato decided to add a section of the sleeve. So somewhere along the line here, at about right here, she has cut this off and added a knit fabric to the bottom. And then the collar is also the knit, and it makes a great combination. One of the things that I like, by the way, I think her arms are shorter than mine, but thank you for letting me wear it anyway, Linda. But one of the things I think that is nice is that this sleeve is fairly squared off. And there is a dart here, which narrows it. She's done that as well. She didn't top stitch it like we do, but she's added that dart. And so that brings that in and makes that, I think, a little less overwhelming as a sleeve. I do that sometimes to a lot of sleeves that are square cut on the bottom, is I do narrow them. They just feel a little better. Let's talk about this roll hem thing. The roll hem is something you need to practice. Test, test, test. I've always been intimidated by rolled edges. I don't know, a lot of people are intimidated by their sergers altogether. Alex and I were just in Cleveland doing our knit workshop, and I remember hearing a couple of comments by the students who said, oh, my serger, gosh, I own one, I just don't know, I'm afraid of it. But, you know, what's the worst that can happen? Nothing, actually. But every machine comes with a guidebook, instructional book. And so I can't stand here and tell you the exact settings of the roll hem for your brand and your machine. So you're going to have to get that book out and actually get inside of it and figure out what's going on. But overall, what is happening is it's a 3-thread stitch on your serger. You're using the right needle, which is the narrowest, and you're using 2 looper threads. And you're going to use the same thread in all 3, the needle and the 2 loopers. And I just use regular cotton thread. Whatever I was constructing the garment with, I'm using that in my serger. Now I know that some people use woolly nylon and things that have a fluffier character to them in their rolled edges. I didn't do that. I didn't have the color, but it's possible because it does fill in a little bit better. But basically it's a 3-thread stitch. And you're going to have a narrow cutting width, as narrow as you can have, and you're going to be working with your differential. And for me, as a Bernina owner, there is one lever that I do have to pull forward to change it into a roll hem. It's called a stitch lever, and that changes it. And there's probably some setting on every brand of serger to be able to do that. But then in terms of setting the loopers, basically you're kind of loosening one and tightening another, and the idea is to pull the thread completely around to the back side of the stitch. And so that is narrowing and forming this rounded, filled edge. And you're going to set the stitch length so that it's pretty close together. But all those settings should be on a chart in your guide sheet. But you're going to have to practice, and you're going to have to fiddle with the settings, and you're going to have to use some scraps and figure out what looks best. You get these tails. I'm not very good at turning the edges or the corners, so I use tails, and I use a large needle with a large eye, and I just feed them back into the corresponding edge. But of course, if you have guide lessons with your brand and machine, or perhaps in your book, it tells you how to turn a corner. And of course, there's probably all kinds of YouTube videos on how to turn a corner. That, of course, is the cleanest way to do it. You'll just have to practice. So every single outside edge of this garment is rolled hem. Now, in the guide sheet of how to make this garment, we do have hems, 5/8" hem, seam allowances and hems on every edge, and you're welcome to deal with this in a traditional manner by just pressing the hem or the seam allowance under and top stitching. That's no problem. I own one of those as well. So if you like that more refined look with a finished edge, you're welcome to do it. But I thought the rolled hem edge was a really great detail, and I hope you'll practice it. So Linda did a rolled hem on pretty much everything. Collar, all the panels on the front, the bottom edge. The only thing she did differently is on the bottom of the ribbing, this is cover stitched. And I know you can't see it, but this hem is turned up and then 3-thread cover stitched. It could be top stitched, it could be zigzag stitched. There's all kinds of options. Obviously, she owns a cover stitch machine or the capability of cover stitching. So that is the sterling jacket, but I'm telling you, it is testing, this rolled hem, but it's worth it. It won't take you that much longer. If you spend 20 minutes testing, it's going to be worth every second of this to get it just right. So the fit of this pattern is quite easy, actually. I think this is one of the patterns in our collection that just looks good on everyone. I've really never seen it look terrible. And it's an easy fit. I have a friend, Mary Lou, in Kansas City, who made this, and it was too big. And so if it's too big, this is a seam that you can work with by just taking it in right here. Or if you want to make this a more shaped area through the bust, you can do that rather than a straight seam. You could curve this just like a princess seam, or maybe not quite as much as a princess seam. So it's easy to make some adjustments because this seam comes up the front, and so you can easily narrow and widen this garment right at that seam. The rib knit, we've chosen some rib knits that coordinate colors that we have. So for instance, let me show you the rib on this. Let me see if maybe this color again. So we call it a rib knit, and it does have a rib characteristic to it. I wouldn't call this a rib knit in the sense that it is exclusive to cuffs and bindings and that sort of thing, although it can be used for that. But this is pretty much fabric that has a rib character to it. It has a vertical rib. And there is a difference between the right and wrong side. You can kind of feel it. One side's a little bit smoother than the other, but if you get mixed up, nobody's going to know. So in order to do what I have on, this takes about 2 1/4, 2 1/2 yards of this fabric. And you need about 5/8 of a yard of this for the sleeves and the collar.
3/4.
3/4? What did I say?
5/8.
3/4. Sorry about that.
Because that's a narrow fabric.
Yes, this rib, yeah. We originally, I think we were thinking 5/8, but then we did some better calculation, and it was actually 3/4. So, what we have something really. Oh, I want to show you more things. Okay. All right, so we have a lot of things going on today in what's being sold. So these 4 fabrics, plus this fabric, the olive, are on sale at our standard 15%. But because of the way we have to buy this fabric, you're going to get almost 2 3/4 yards because it comes in meters, it comes in a package, and so we need to split the yardages into those kinds of components. So the standard cut that we're selling this is 2 1/2 yards, it will say on the website, but because it comes in meters and the conversion and all that, it's really almost 2 3/4 yards. If you buy one of the cuts of any of these 4, which, by the way, will make an entire garment. It would make the entire sterling without the pieced sleeves and collar. If you buy one of the cuts of each of one of these 4 colors, we will give you, at no charge, the 3/4 yards of ribbing. That's the cool part. Plus, we've added the add-on to the product that you can order thread. Of course, that's on all of our products. But you're going to need 4 spools. If you're going to do the rolled hem, you need 3 spools for your serger and 1 for the sewing machine. So you would need to add 4 spools of thread. Plus, we've given you an option for buttons. Deb has picked out some beautiful buttons for each of these 4 colors. There are 5 of them. You would need 5 buttons, and just add on the buttons. It's sort of a sight unseen button thing. You have to trust us on that. But if you know that you don't have a lot of buttons in your stash and you need something that works perfectly with these, then we've got you covered. You can add thread and you can add buttons. But just know that you're going to get the ribbings at no charge if you order a cut of any of these. We have limited yardage on this. We only have just a few cuts. So you want to take advantage of it if you are really into it. This fabric is cozy. It's light, but it has a drape to it. It feels cozy, but not hot. So it's warm, but it's not hot. It's all cotton. So it's a sustainable fabric, and it's, in my opinion, a really charming, wonderful fabric that is not easily obtained. So we have some other kits that we're putting on sale as well this week that we know look good in the fabrics that I'm going to show you. Betsy made a sterling in the waffle weave, which you've also seen. And this is the gray, obviously. She's done the rolled hemming on it. Looks really cute. Some great buttons. We have this waffle we have 1 cut of it left in the light eggshell color, but we have some black and we have some gray. So we can cut you any yardage of this kind of fabric. This is already a pre-made cut, this oatmeal color. But the gray and the black, we can cut any amount of yardage that you want. I can't tell you if we've added the button option and the thread option for that. Well, I know we have the thread option. I don't know about the button option. But if you need buttons ever, you can call us or email us. We don't have buttons on our website because we have so many buttons and it changes all the time. But if you ever need buttons, you're welcome to email me, linda@sewingworkshop.com, or deb@sewingworkshop.com, and we're happy to work with you on buttons. We can send you pictures of buttons, all of that. Then we've made up I don't have it here, but the sterling looks really fantastic in a corduroy. And this is a beautiful corduroy. We have kits in these 2 colors, the copper and the black. And we also have this really interesting fabric, which is a jacquard that has a dot. One side is more pronounced than the other. So can you see the dots on that? This is actually the back side, in my opinion, and the front side has less pronounced dots, but you could use either side. This is the perfect cotton weight for this jacket. And who doesn't need a black jacket, but one that has an interesting texture or motif built into it? So this is a jacquard fabric from Italy, and we have kits already made up for this, which includes the threads and the buttons and so on. All right, have I covered all the little things here? This is quite a little list here. So, of course, you can order the rib knit, these 4 ribs, in any yardage that you want. It just happens that if you order the matelassé, then you're going to get the 3/4 yards of the rib. So the workshop that tells you how to make this jacket with the rolled edges is So Confident. It's the So Confident Sterling Jacket Workshop is what it's called. And that's on sale this week. It's a very extensive video class. I think it's a really pretty good class, so I hope you'll take that as well. So, have I covered everything?
I think so. We have a few questions.
Okay.
Okay. Is there a way to make the center front where it connects to the collar not so floppy?
I take it you're not into this. Well, you could, of course, continue to button it. You could take this placket and extend it up into this seam. That would help to stabilize that. You could probably even carry it into the collar, and then you could add another button.
Could you, on the front plackets, could you use a knit for that section?
Yes, you could. That would be a great detail, actually. If you had knit for anything else as well, if you had it for the collar and maybe the sleeves and that, or just that. Yes, this can be a contrast, whatever. So it does extend out. If you're following the exact instructions of the sterling, it does extend beyond the edge about 1/4 inch. So whatever you use, maybe it should look good on the back side, or you can just shift it so that it's not set in that way.
We had a question about seeing a close-up of the, I assume the rolled edge. It said 3 thread hem. I do have a few images I can show.
Yes.
Of a close-up again here, so I'm going to do that so you can see the details of the rolled hem on a sterling. This next one has a really good close-up. There it is. Okay. And next question. Did you lengthen the jacket?
No. Well, I don't think Linda D'Amato lengthened it. I don't believe so.
Could you pipe the edges of the sterling jacket instead of a rolled hem?
Piping generally requires 2 layers to insert it. So yes, you could do that if you want a line to the edge or create facings and all of that. If you were going to do just piping, you'd almost need a piping without a flange and sew it on rather invisibly, which you can do. It would take some doing.
If I buy a cut, is it automatic that the buttons and the thread are added in?
No, if you buy a cut, you do need to add on 4 spools of thread and add on the button option. You get the fabric with a piece of the rib knit, but you need to add the thread and the buttons.
Would this fabric work for a plaza jacket?
Oh yeah, be a great plaza jacket. Yeah. Make a great high 5 jacket, which is pretty similar. You saw it in the Now jacket. It'd make a great Chicago jacket. It'd make a great Tremont jacket, which I think we have one made up actually in a similar fabric. It'd make a great unlined Verona jacket. What are our other jackets? An E jacket, it'd make a great E jacket. A pearl jacket. It's a jacket fabric.
All the jackets.
All the jackets.
Is the corduroy fabric the same weight as the fabrics featured today?
I think it's the same weight, but there's a little more stiffness to it. I would wash it and get it a little softer. But it's very similar in structure, I think, but it's not quite as spongy. You know, this particular fabric has a little bit of a soft sponge to it, and the corduroy really doesn't.
Could you bind the jacket with bias binding?
Yes, you could. That's what Kathy did on her Now jacket. She used knit. This is the same fabric, and this is bound in black knit.
I love that jacket.
Yeah.
Do you need to wash the fabric before making the garment?
I don't think so. Frankly, I don't think I'd wash this jacket, so I don't think I'd bother to pre-wash the fabric. That's a personal choice. I don't know. I don't think that anything would happen to the fabric, but you've spent a lot of time with the roll hemming and some of the details. I'd be afraid of throwing it in the washing machine.
I don't see any other questions.
Okay. Just a couple of side notes. So I've paired this over a Crane Street. Actually, this was the Crane Street tee that originally went under the sterling jacket in the photographs that you may have seen. And then I have on the Hudson pants in the plaid that I think look really good with it. And it has the, and I know you can't see it, has the crisscross bottom panels, which is another class, which would have been another class in last year's So Confident as well. So you could also take that class.
Okay, still don't see any other questions.
Okay, great. All right, well, we have lots of things on sale, and these kits are 40% off, which is huge. So the kits that are already made up that I've shown you in the corduroy and the black dot jacquard and the waffle weave are 40% off. Fabrics are 15% off with free rib yardage at 3/4 of a yard if you order the 2.5 yards of this. And the pattern, the sterling pattern is on sale, and the workshop, the sterling jacket workshop is on sale as well. Okay.
I do see one more question.
Okay.
Is the violet bamboo rib knit the same as the rib to match the seashell pink? And she wants to make a t-shirt.
No, this is the only ribbing that's different. It's lighter weight, the rib is narrower, it's a different fabric. But it's interesting, this has just enough of an ecru overtone to it that this was the best, I thought, rib that went with it, but it is different. This would make a great t-shirt.
And what about the violet rib knit?
This would make a great t-shirt also.
Yeah, okay, that's the color is violet.
This would make great t-shirts and pants. I mean, we've talked about this fabric a number of times. Alex has a twin set of, I think it's Valencia pants, maybe it's West End pants, I can't remember, and an Eureka top out of this rib. Erin's made skirts, Eureka tops, dresses. It's a great fabric. It doesn't stretch out. It doesn't hang out like some knits, grow. It doesn't do that. It washes well. It's really a fantastic knit.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate you joining me today, and we'll see you next week.